My sister bragged that she was the only one who could handle Mom's estate because she was the executor. She didn't realize she'd missed deadlines, so I took over. When she found out, she screamed, "This was my job." My lawyer smiled and said, "Not anymore." When my mom passed away, my older sister Diane made sure everyone knew she was in charge. She wasn't just the executor of the estate, she was the only one who could possibly handle it. Or at least, that's what she told everyone. At the funeral, she kept telling people, "Don't worry, I've got it all under control." At the memorial, she said, "I'm the one making all the big decisions. It's a huge responsibility, but I was the only logical choice." And she posted online about it, too. Stuff like, "Being an executor is a full-time job, but I'm the only one in the family who can handle it." She said it with so much confidence that, at first, I believed her. She was the oldest. Mom had named her executor in the will. It made sense. But there was a problem. Diane loved having control. But actually doing the work. That was another story. She'd always been like this. When our dad passed away years ago, she took all the family photos for safekeeping and never let anyone else have copies. When Mom got sick, Diane took over her finances but never shared any details with the rest of us. She liked to hoard control, not because she wanted to help but because she liked being the only one who knew what was going on. So when she became executor, it was like giving a kid the keys to a candy store. She treated it like her personal throne. At first, I didn't push. I assumed she'd take care of everything, and I didn't want to step on her toes. But as time passed, I started getting suspicious. Months went by. And then more months. And still, nothing happened. No updates. No progress. No word from Diane. At first, I figured estate stuff just took a long time. But then I started getting calls. From creditors. From lawyers. From the county. They all wanted to know what was happening with the estate, because, apparently, Diane wasn't answering their calls. I tried to get in touch with her. She brushed me off. "It's complicated. You wouldn't understand." A few more weeks passed. I asked again. "You need to stop worrying. I got this." More time passed. I asked again. "I don't have time to explain everything to you. Just trust me." At this point, it had been over 6 months. Nothing had been filed. Nothing had been done. And then I got a letter from the state probate office. It was a warning. Because Diane had failed to file essential paperwork, she was at risk of being removed as executor. That's when it hit me. She wasn't just being secretive, she was being negligent. She'd talked such a big game about how she was the only one who could handle it. And yet, she had done nothing. I called her and asked her, point blank, what was going on. She snapped at me. "You don't know how hard this is. I'm doing my best." I asked if she'd at least filed the will with the court. Silence. I asked if she had contacted any of the banks. Silence. I asked what she had done. More silence. That's when I knew, she wasn't handling anything. She had let it sit. 4 months. And because of that, our mother's estate was now at risk of getting tangled up in legal complications. So I did the only thing I could do. I called a lawyer. The lawyer I hired was a no-nonsense guy. I told him everything, and he didn't even hesitate. "She's about to lose her position as executor," he said. "You can petition to have her removed and take over yourself." I hadn't even considered that. Me? Take over? He nodded. "If the executor fails to do their job, the court can replace them. And from what you're telling me, she's failed, badly." I sat with that for a moment. Diane had spent months bragging about how only she could handle this. How she was the responsible one. The one in charge. And yet, she'd let everything rot. And now? I had the chance to take it from her. I told my lawyer to go ahead. The process was faster than I expected. The court was already aware that Diane had missed deadlines. My lawyer filed a petition for her removal, citing her negligence, and the judge set a hearing date. Here's the best part. Diane had no idea. She hadn't been reading the legal notices. She hadn't been answering calls from the court. So when the day of the hearing came, she wasn't there. I was. I sat in front of the judge with my lawyer, and the evidence was laid out. Missed deadlines. Unanswered notices. Zero action taken on the estate. The judge barely even had to think about it. "Your petition is granted," he said. "You are now the executor of the estate." Just like that, Diane was out. And I was in. I walked out of that courtroom feeling like I had just pulled off the biggest win of my life. But I wasn't stupid, I knew Diane was going to lose her mind when she found out. So I didn't tell her. Not yet. I wanted to see how long it would take her to notice. 2 weeks later, my phone rang. Diane. She sounded irritated. Did you do something? I played dumb. What do you mean? I just called the lawyer, and he said I'm not the executor anymore. What the hell did you do? I took a deep breath. You were removed, Diane. Because you weren't doing your job. Silence. Then she exploded. This was my job. I stayed calm. Then you should have done it. She started screaming. You had no right. This was my responsibility. MOM trusted me. You went behind my back. I let her rant. I let her yell. I let her curse me out. Then, when she finally took a breath, my lawyer, who was on speakerphone, calmly said, not anymore. The silence that followed was delicious. But Diane wasn't done. She went into full meltdown mode. She called everyone in the family, telling them I had stolen the estate from her. She said I had tricked the courts, that I had manipulated the system. She told anyone who would listen that I was trying to ruin her life. At first, I thought no one would believe her. But then, my aunt called me. Why would you do this to your sister? She asked. I explained. I told her how Diane had done nothing for months. I told her about the missed deadlines, the warnings from the court, the fact that the estate was on the verge of serious legal trouble because of Diane's inaction. My aunt went quiet. She didn't tell me any of that. Of course she didn't. Diane wasn't interested in facts. She was interested in being the victim. But the truth had a funny way of spreading. Over the next few weeks, more and more people started to realize what had really happened. Diane got quieter. She stopped calling people. She stopped ranting online. And then, a month after she found out I had taken over, I got a text from her. I hope you're happy. No apology. No admission of guilt. Just pure bitterness. I didn't respond. I had a job to do. And unlike Diane, I was actually going to do it. But just when I thought the drama was over, I found something. Something Diane definitely didn't want me to see. As I went through my mom's documents, I found something odd. A bank statement. At first, I almost missed it, but then I noticed something weird. There was a withdrawal made just a few weeks before my mom passed. A big one. And the name on the transfer? Diane. My stomach dropped. I started digging. I went through more records, more bank statements, more paperwork. And what I found made my blood boil. Diane had taken money from our mom's account. Thousands of dollars. While mom was sick. While we were all focused on taking care of her. While she was sitting in the hospital, Diane was draining her bank account. And the worst part? She thought she had gotten away with it. She probably assumed that, as executor, she could just cover it up. That no one would question it. That no one would ever check. But now. I was in charge. And I wasn't going to let this slide. I called my lawyer. I sent him copies of the statements. Can we do anything about this? I asked. He didn't even hesitate. Oh, absolutely. The next step was brutal. We filed a formal complaint with the probate court, stating that Diane had misused funds and possibly committed fraud. The court took it seriously. They froze the estate's accounts while they investigated. Then we took it further. My lawyer sent Diane a letter demanding she return the money immediately or face legal action. She ignored it. So we escalated. We filed a lawsuit. The court forced Diane to turn over her financial records. And that's when it got even worse, for her. Because it turned out. This wasn't the first time she had done something shady. She had been skimming money from mom for years. Tiny amounts here and there. Withdrawals disguised as helping with bills. But it added up. Tens of thousands of dollars over time. And the court did not like that. When she finally realized how deep in trouble she was, Diane tried to beg. She called me crying. I didn't mean to. I was just struggling financially. Mom would have wanted to help me. I let her talk. Then I said, if that were true, why did you hide it? Silence. She knew she was caught. She tried to negotiate. Tried to promise she'd make things right. But it was too late. The court ruled that she had to pay back every single cent she had taken, with interest. And when she couldn't, her assets were seized. Her bank accounts garnished. Her car Repossessed. She even had to sell some of her furniture to come up with the money. But the best part? Because she had committed financial misconduct while acting as executor, she was permanently barred from ever being named executor of any estate ever again. She could never do this to anyone else. The final blow came when the estate was finally settled. Since I was the executor now, I handled everything fairly. I made sure all debts were paid. I made sure every heir got exactly what they were owed. And when it was time to distribute what was left, Diane got nothing. Every dollar she would have inherited went straight toward repaying what she had stolen. She called me one last time after that. "You destroyed my life." I just said, "No, Diane. You did that to yourself." And then I hung up. She hasn't spoken to me since. But I know one thing, she'll never brag about being the only one who can handle things ever again.